This is Kenneth Foster from the University of Pennsylvania.
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank you for inviting me to participate in your conference and also for the invitation to do this by web. I'm coming at this general problem from exactly the opposite direction that you are. I've been involved for my whole career in studies of possible health effects of electromagnetic fields, on which there's just a massive amount of literature, but still controversy. And I've been working on and off as a consultant with the World Health Organization in their EMF project, which has also been working on this problem for some time. We're also rather unsophisticated about risk communication, but we're learning quite a bit by making mistakes. At this point, I've made enough mistakes in my life probably to have learned quite a bit, but we're not social scientists. This talk today actually is the basis of a chapter of a book that was published in May on the role of evidence and risk characterization by Wiley, which in turn arose from a conference on risk communication in Berlin in 2006. My co-author is Emily Van de Venture from the World Health Organization, who's the head of the so-called EMF project at WHO, which has been very active in health effects of electromagnetic fields. Just to remind you what we're talking about, this is a very busy slide, but it shows on the top the electromagnetic spectrum ranging from the very left static fields to the very right X-rays. And the kinds of things that the EMF project is concerned about we call rather loosely EMF. And these are fields ranging from those that are emitted by power lines at 50 or 60 hertz up through the microwave spectrum, cell phones. This is called non-ionizing radiation because the energy in the photon is not enough to break molecules, and so the health effects and biological effects are very different from those of X radiation or ionizing radiation. The kinds of possible health problems that you might experience from being exposed to fields from power lines or cell phones or broadcasting transmitters has been controversial for many years. The kinds of hazards that are well established are scientifically mundane. If you touch a power line, you get a shock and you may die from that. If you put your hand in a microwave oven, you could be seriously injured. And there are these injuries reported sometimes. And for many years, we've had exposure limits and various kinds of standards that are designed to protect against these kinds of hazards. The problem is that the public is concerned about the possibility of hazards from low-level exposure that are below those that are excluded by safety limits and below those that produce obvious hazards. And this includes possibility of being exposed to power line fields might cause cancer in children, that use of mobile phones might cause brain cancer, particularly after long-term use. And it turns out that the scientific literature, while massive, is somewhat inconsistent. There's a scattering of reports of biological effects from fields at levels below exposure limits. And there's even a scattering of reports of health effects in people exposed to mobile phones or power line fields or what have you. And also there's a wide variation in different countries of the limits for exposure. The EMF project was formed in 1996 at WHO as a rather small project led by one or two scientists with an occasional person on sabbatical, myself being one, to try to coordinate research efforts in this, provide expert guidance to health agencies around the world, and generally trying to manage the risk. WHO does not do research, but it's involved in management of research programs, makes recommendations, and so forth. The WHO has a very elaborate process for both risk assessment and risk communication. The second, of course, is what I'm mostly focusing on here. And this EMF project, its main output consists of a variety of documents, mostly aimed at a clientele consisting of other health agencies around the world, and only secondarily aimed at the public. the approach of WHO is very strongly influenced. In fact, it's almost identical to that of the famous Red Book published by the National Research Council in 1983, which was designed initially to try to separate the science of risk from the politics of risk. And this was an attempt to rationalize risk assessment and risk communication. The process, I'm sure that you know about, but it basically breaks risk assessment down into identifying hazard, identifying dose-response relationships, exposure assessment, and this is supposedly science, and then there's policy, risk management, and there's risk communication, which are separate stages in this whole process. And this approach that WHO has adopted is exactly out of the 1983 Red Book. The EMF project, in keeping with this, has issued a number of documents. The most influential are just massive reviews of the science relating electromagnetic fields, either low-frequency fields, static fields, or radio waves, for possible carcinogenic effects. This is done by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, which is a component of WHO. And the IARC classification assessment process is just a massive process involving dozens of experts and hundreds of pages of reports, and finally resulting in a judgment about how likely it is that these exposures will cause cancer in people. In addition, the WHO EMF project has issued a series of environmental health criteria documents which assess non-cancer risks. Those are available online. Two are available recently published, one on static fields and one on ELF fields, such as power line fields. These are the blue pictures, and these are available online. And these are also massive documents developed by just a massive review consisting of a total of over 100 experts. And these are quite technical documents. And in addition, the WHO has an active program in risk communication, and it has the EMF project has released a number of so-called fact sheets that are aimed at the public, which try to explain the scientific consensus and these issues in a way that people will understand. I've written a couple of these myself for WHO when I was in sabbatical. And these are available online. Here is an online copy of one involving electromagnetic fields and health. The question that I'm raising, that Emily and I raised in this book chapter, is basically how one communicates these facts about these issues about risk of electromagnetic fields to the public. And I think it's probably the same kind of problems that you have with nanotechnology. And it turns out, as you know, this is not a simple problem. I'm going to base my discussion actually on a document that Emily's own department released 2 years ago called Health Hazards and Public Debate, which was quite a nice assessment of risk communication, focusing on the BSE crisis in the UK, the mad cow disease, which was widely acknowledged as having been just very badly mismanaged by the UK government. This document, as I said, which is available on the WHO website and also available in a published book, then goes through a lot of the sociology of risk and makes recommendations as to how one effectively communicates risk with the public.